Hello again. So officials from the Buffalo City municipality in the Eastern Cape believe that the fire that tore through the old Daily Dispatch building was actually caused by arson. The municipality spokesperson, Samkelo Ngwenya, actually backed up these suspicions by explaining that the officials found clues that some people were occupying that building before it went up in flames.
Yes, when we got to this scene this morning, we did pick up that some windows were broken. The building itself is quite old, so we were able to pick up where the fire started, and clearly showed us that there have been people that are occupying this place in terms of being vagrants, because when the owner came, he did tell us that the building is not being occupied at this stage. So we are able to say that when we're handing over the matter to the police, our report will say that we suspect that it's been self-made fire by vagrants, but based on the wood in itself, it definitely started at the bottom. I think this is where we suspect the people were living, and then it spread throughout the building.
Ngwenya, in fact, has joined several others in saying that they're heartbroken by this incident. Take a listen.
Very much devastating. I mean, we started our careers here. This is where we cut our teeth. So it's quite sad for us. I mean, when we were waking up this morning, it was a buzz on social media with journalists all over the place that were once trading in here, sharing this sad news. So much history in here. We came here with dreams, and we came out and we became some things in some of our careers in terms of advancement. So you can imagine what that community of people that are the alumni of this place are feeling, including myself.
All right, let's get you more reaction on this now. Bring in Cheri James, who's the current editor of the Daily Dispatch. She joins us via our video link, and it's great to have you, albeit on this really sad development, Cheri. Thanks for your time. I mean, let me just begin with by gauging from you what went through your mind when you heard that this important building had gone up in flames.
Ayanda, thank you for affording me this opportunity to chat to you today. I will say that when I got that message this morning, I was in disbelief initially. At first I thought, no, someone had it wrong. It's maybe not the old Dispatch building. And I was actually out getting, some Mother's Day stuff. And I decided to get into my car and drive down to the building. And when I actually saw the flames, that's when it really set in that, oh my goodness, like the old Daily Dispatch building is really on fire. So it was really dramatic, to be honest. I mean, I stood there. Some of my colleagues from the Daily Dispatch then later joined me, and it was really an emotional affair, I must say.
Yeah, I can imagine. And of course, people who aren't necessarily closely associated with the Daily Dispatch will be asking themselves what kind of connection, if any, this old building had with the current operations for the paper.
The Daily Dispatch is 150 years this year, so in September we're celebrating that major milestone, and a large part of our history was really in that building. For more than 100 years we were actually operating from that space. So it holds very close ties to so many people. I mean, our social media, some of the friends, some of my former colleagues, they're all just in utter shock and disbelief at what's happened. And I mean, we have created so many amazing memories in the journalism that we've practiced from that particular building. So for us, it's not just a structure that's sitting in the East London City Centre. It's an historic institution that is very close to us as a newspaper, but also the community of East London.
Yeah, we're actually showing visuals of some of the, I guess, what the paper or what the building looked like a couple of years ago, some of these black and white stills that show just the historic significance of the building itself. It will raise questions, Cheri, around how the building came to a point where it was allegedly occupied by vagrants who are the people who are behind this fire.
Yeah, so Ayanda, it's quite sad. So 7 years ago, we actually relocated from the city centre to the suburb of Beacon Bay. And we had our sales department or advertising section still operating in a small portion of the building. But since we left, no one has actually occupied that building. So it's pretty much as we left it almost 7 years ago. In terms of the plans for, from the landlord who owns the building, I'm not quite sure what the plans were. But yeah, it's quite sad that this historical building in the middle of the, in the heart of East London, was just made to fall to ruin, essentially. I mean, to be occupied by vagrants.
Yeah.
So it is quite sad. I mean, it has such an amazing history. And now, when I stood outside that building this morning, it is just a shell. It's completely gutted. It's completely destroyed. And with it, 100 years of history.
Yeah, quite frankly. Do you think it's worth trying to rebuild it? Or from your perspective, what's lost there is really gone?
I don't think there's any hope of actually rebuilding the Daily Dispatch or that structure as it is right now. My only concern is that we don't have a situation, and we've had it with other buildings in East London, where it had been gutted by fire, it had been taken over by vagrants, and it had just fallen to ruin and becomes a bit of a slum. I really hope that that's not going to be the future of the Daily Dispatch, that we are actually able to utilize that space, clean it up at least, and just try and preserve what is left of it. I mean, the structure is still there, but the inside of it is completely destroyed. The roof caved in. And I mean, the newsroom, I saw some videos that the Metro actually released to the newspaper today. And it's actually heart-wrenching to see what's left of it.
Yeah, there's a bit of an awkward irony about the Daily Dispatch covering the story, isn't there? Because it's not just about this building itself. It's not just the material structure. Yeah. But as you've already pointed out, it's about the very important sentimental value attached to it. I think South African journalism is still enjoying the fruits of the fantastic colleagues that the Daily Dispatch has been able to produce over the years. It does also, I guess, bring into sharp focus conversations around the importance of community-based news publications and why it's important to take care of their history.
Absolutely. I mean, we as the Daily Dispatch are essentially a legacy media. We have managed to survive 150 years, and we continue to tell the story of the people of East London. And yes, it's a building, but it is so much more than just a building. I mean, the history that we have created in that particular structure. I mean, Donald Wood's a legacy, our connections with Steve Biko from back in the day. So it's really more than just a building. It's basically where we as a newsroom told the stories of the people of this province and the city more especially. So yeah, it is a very sad moment, and I don't know if the investigations will, conclusively say that it is the vagrants who have occupied that building. But we just hope that it's not going to become a slum, essentially.
Yeah, really sad moment for journalism in this country. I've lost count to the many instances where stories from the Daily Dispatch really set the national news agenda. Cheri James, thanks for speaking to us. Really do appreciate it. And, for what it's worth, apologies for your loss with your colleagues. Cheri is the editor at the Daily Dispatch.